Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
We obviously like to fish here in this state. We have a lot of water, a lot of lakes, a lot of rivers, of course, and fishing those lakes obviously becomes a priority for a lot of us, but there's a lot of things that go into those fishing opportunities, from conservation, sustainability, water quality, and then just what we do while we're on those lakes and taking care of them. It's kind of an important job. It's not just about going out there catching fish, whether you're releasing them or eating them. It's about taking care of our resources here in Minnesota. And there's an effort that's been underway for a number of years that we've talked about here on the show in the past, and we're going to talk about it again. And it's nice because it's a coalition of a few different some of the best fisheries really in the state, kind of getting together to take care of our resources. We're going to bring on Joe Henry right now from Lake of the Woods Tourism to talk about Keep It Clean. Joe, how you doing?
Hey, Brett, doing well.
Glad to have you back on again. This is kind of an important topic that probably should be talked about more often.
Yeah, it really is. So ice fishing, as we all know, ice fishing has really, really blossomed as far as popularity goes across all of our ice belt lakes across the whole Midwest. And, with more and more people getting on the ice, with human beings, you're going to have some challenges with, different things such as trash and human waste and other things. So, about 10 years ago or so, Friends of Zipple Bay State Park were doing a cleanup on one of the beaches at Zipple Bay State Park, Brett, and they literally, the wind was blowing in the right way when the ice went off the lake, and they literally got trailers and trailers full of garbage that blew in. And the thought was, when we talked about this, the thought was, man, if the wind wasn't right, where would that garbage be going? And secondly, what about the garbage that doesn't float? Where did that go? So long story short, Mike Hurst from Lake of the Woods Soil and Water Conservation District organized a team of stakeholders made up of, of course, myself with Lake of the Woods Tourism, and, there's other people in soil and water from the county, from the DNR Fisheries, DNR Enforcement, Roseau County, and some others. And basically, we all came together to work on keeping Lake of the Woods clean. And we call that effort Keep It Clean. And we've promoted that now for a number of years. Well, as we mentioned, this is a challenge, with over 2.5 million angling hours on Lake of the Woods. I would say you have two groups of people. You have your people that just don't care, and they're not real good about keeping trash off. They just don't care. Small percentage of the people. But then you also have a percentage of people that are really good-meaning people, but maybe they don't plan ahead on, where they're going to put their garbage. Maybe they, over the course of spending 3 nights on the ice, they put 4 garbage bags out, and one of them blows away or gets covered by snow or freezes in, and maybe one flies out of the pickup on the way off the lake, or when they hit the local highway and get up to 55. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. But the bottom line is, the Keep It Clean effort, the mission statement is really to keep trash and human waste out of our waterways and off of our ice through an effort of education, promotion, and enforcement. So we've been doing all this. Well, recently we had 2 other major walleye fisheries join us in this effort, and we're so pleased. We had Upper and Lower Red Lake as well as Mille Lacs Lake, and now the 3 fisheries are working together on this effort, and it's very important effort.
Yeah, well, let's bring our other guests on. Robyn Dwight is here, and also Ann Brucciani. Brucciani, did I get it right?
You did. You got it right.
And Brucciani Lyon. You know what? I had it before the show, and then I still got nervous before I said it on the air, and I got this. Whatever. We got it. Thanks for joining us, both of you, of course. All of you, thanks for joining us. It's an important topic, and I just want to say this off the top, and I apologize for even bringing it up, but the fact that we have to talk about human waste and what people should be doing. It's been headlines the last couple of winters, just what's going on out there. It's disgusting. So this effort is more important than ever, not just trash, but and Joe, to your point about having a plan, because some of it's unintentional. Some of it is accidental, something blowing out of the back of the truck or whatever. But having a plan to clean up after yourself is so important. Talk about, Robyn, let's start with you. Talk about how you decided to be a part of this effort as well, and what got you interested in it.
Well, my husband and I live here in Waskish, which is ground zero for arguably the best walleye fishery in Minnesota.
Oh, boy.
They argue, but they won't win that one with me. So we love angling. We love fishing. We're out there winter. We're out there during the summer. And we see with our own eyes the leftovers from human activity on the lakes. And we are very good friends with a number of the resort folks up here and the business owners. And we see their frustration. We hear their stories. I got involved in that working with Zach Gutnick of the SWCD out of Beltrami County in Bemidji. And he said, he called me one day and said, do you have any issues about trash up in your area on the lakes? And I said, well, how many hours do you have for me just to introduce you to the problem? So we got together and we started working on the issue as we understood it then. We went around to all the local folks and knocked on doors and had good conversations with those folks and had a roundtable up here at Upper Red Lake last fall where they got to come and tell us their stories. It's pretty hard to help people if you don't know what the problem is. And the only way to learn is to talk to the people who live here and experience it day in, day out. So we did talk to resort owners, plow truck drivers, outfitters, businesses, and the story was the same. The consistent message was we're overwhelmed with the leftovers of human activity. We're dealing with it. We love people to come up here, but the fishery is great, but this is a great place to bring your kids in the summer to enjoy the beaches and the wonderful, tannin-colored water. But the waste is going to ruin it for us. And so that's what got myself and my husband interested in tackling the problem and joining up with the good folks like Joe and Mike and Ann and putting our heads together to come up with solutions. And so here we are. We're reaching out to all other parties who are interested in this issue and wanting to work together with everyone to solve a statewide problem.
You almost have to see it. I think sometimes people have to see it to understand the severity of the issue. And when you see it, you're like, oh my gosh. So what steps are you taking there around Upper Red there that to help mitigate this issue?
Well, we are taking steps. So we've been working on this project. We have a pilot project that will be kicking off at the beginning of December, right at winter fishing opener up at Upper Red Lake. And we have a contract with a licensed hauler to provide 4 dumpsters at 4 of the major resort locations up here so that fisher people can bring their human waste and trash off the ice and remove it and dispose of it separate from solid waste, because right now it's mixed and the resorts have to deal with that and haul it by private haulers because the county doesn't want to have their workers exposed to contaminated waste. So this is what we're doing, and the Red Lake Watershed District, has been very generous to provide grant funding for this pilot for 1 year. So we will have dumpsters in place for people. We are also purchasing sandbags for those folks that use camping toilets in their fish houses, and those are colored bags. We'll provide messaging with that so that we give the people here the resources they need and the ability to do the right thing, which most people want to do. Further to that, we are having engineers talk to our local folks and businesses about the viability of having Four Seasons winterized dump stations for these wonderful RV-styled fish houses that are now becoming so popular all across Minnesota. It's great to have these wonderful camping experiences out on the lake, whether you're fishing or just bringing your family up for a wonderful weekend. But currently, other than at Lake of the Woods, we do not have access to Four Seasons dump stations for RVs. That's very important because people who want to keep the lake clean, they need help with that. And our little community of Waskish has a population of around 150, so we need help with funding that infrastructure. So we're looking for state support and support from corporations and you name it, whoever wants to help us. We have open arms looking forward to that support.
Well, there's no doubt that those the wheelhouses and how they've, the ice castles and the other companies that are out there creating a camping experience on the lake, that business has exploded in recent years, and that's increased angling pressure, especially on some of those lakes up north that you have to travel a little bit more to. People are staying longer because they can camp right up there. They can haul their fish house right on the lake. They can stay right out there. But, and I'm not trying I don't want to target those manufacturing companies and give them something else to think about, but maybe that should be something that they should think about it as far as donating to something like Keep It Clean, since they're making money off all these people that are extending their stays out on some of these lakes. But that's opening up another discussion for another time potentially. But it's an important thing to think about, because the pressure is happening on all those lakes. And another lake that gets a ton of pressure just because of its proximity to the Twin Cities is Mille Lacs. And you're getting the wheelhouse anglers there, I'm sure, as well as just some of the people that are driving up for the day and coming back. So you're dealing with probably a little bit of a different situation there on Mille Lacs. When did you get involved with Keep It Clean, and what has it been like the last few winters there for you?
All right. Well, I got involved with Keep It Clean in February of this year, and it was because I'm with the Mille Lacs Area Community Foundation, and we were discussing feedback we were getting from business owners, community members, residents about the increased amount of garbage and human waste on the ice during ice fishing season. And while I was researching that topic, I connected up with Mike Hurst at the Soil and Water Conservation District at Lake of the Woods, Joe Henry, the tourism director, and they were more than generous in sharing information that they had, reports that were done by the University of Minnesota that used Red Lake and Lake Mille Lacs as comparison studies. And that gave our team quite a bit of information. We started talking to local business owners about bringing Keep It Clean to Mille Lacs, and they were enthusiastic in their support of it. And so we made the announcement, and right now we're sharing information. We're talking to resorts about their best practices. We're working collaboratively with Joe Henry and Robyn Dwight and our regional Keep It Clean community partners. Our Soil and Water Conservation District has gotten involved. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency is involved, and we're all trying to address how to raise awareness of the problem, talk about the problem, and give practical solutions on things people can do when they come to the lake to visit. Bring colored trash bags with you, pack out what you brought in. Make sure that you look around your fish house or your outdoor area and pick up any trash that may be on the ice. And if you see that somebody else has left garbage behind, take a moment and pick that up as well. And at the end of the season, when you're trying to remove your fish houses, take the time to remove that blocking. Mm-hmm. I had several residents sending me videos this spring of the amount of blocking washing up on their shores. It was tremendous. And they said in their bay, as far as their eye could see for 3 straight days, all that they saw coming in off that shore was wood blocking.
Interesting. Well, and that brings up maybe answers a question I was just going to ask, and this could be for the whole group. Is there one thing that you're seeing more than others when it comes to things being left behind by anglers? Is it white trash bags? Is it wood blocks? Do you think that more is coming from the wheelhouse community, or is it from guys in portables? Is there any sort of trend that you're seeing in what's being left behind that needs to be cleaned up from these people?
I would just say, what we're seeing and what we're hearing from some DNR folks that are on the ice all the time and things is that it seems that people that are not working specifically with a resort fish house there's a little bit more trash in that regard. And the only reason I say that is because I think with resort fish houses, when you're renting from a resort fish house, naturally the resort is checking on those people in that fish house 2 or 3 times a day. So naturally the trash is going to get pulled by the ice guides on a consistent basis. Whereas, when people are off on their own for a longer period of time, there's just, even if they don't mean to, there's just a higher chance of garbage to getting frozen in, left behind, covered with snow, blown away, whatever the case might be. That would be my takeaway so far.
Yeah. And that, and you brought up something too about leave no trace. I mean, that's been we used to go to the boundary waters all the time, and that's what you were always taught about going into the wilderness areas is leave no trace. And why should it be any different if you go into Mille Lacs or Red or any at Lake of the Woods, any of the lakes for that matter? And that brings up a bigger point of sustainability and protecting our fisheries. And I had this discussion with somebody else today, and when you start to talk about recycling and environmental safe practices for the environment, you sometimes get some eye rolls from guys in the outdoor community when you start talking about lead sinkers or non-toxic fishing tackle, things like that, and even ammunition on the hunting side. But those are definitely things that are going to come, and they're going to happen. Plastics are terrible for the environment, and so much that we use is plastic, whether it be trash bags or, packaging that your tackle comes in. And a lot of times that gets left behind or blows out of the back of a pickup, and that stuff just doesn't break down. So from leaving no trace and keeping it clean to cleaning up after yourself, we're also going to have to look at some of these other environmentally friendly practices when it comes to our time out in the wilderness. And people that live in the outdoor space generally also don't like to be told what to do. They like to self-police and do things voluntarily. So I hope that there is a bigger movement towards this type of an attitude out there before it becomes mandated, because nobody likes to have mandates. But we're going to have to, because we have to find a way to keep these areas clean and sustainable. So even the colored garbage bags, like that's so. Robyn, were you saying something? You're going to be handing out bags for people?
We're making available to the pilot resorts, the 4 resorts, a bulk number of sandbags. And these bags, whether they're biodegradable or not, we're looking at a specific bag for human waste. So that these bags are red, they're easy to see, and we're encouraging people that go through the pilots to use those bags to teach them better stewardship of the lake. How to use the bags, how to dispose of them, where to dispose of them, and they're brightly colored with the suggestion that please do not leave those on the surface of the ice. Put them in some sort of a container or leave them in your vehicle, because these bags tend to get lost. They tend to sink to the bottom. Some people tend to hide them under a snowbank for others to discover, unfortunately. And so maybe this will help with a change of behavior. I just want to make a little shift in thinking about, if it's easy for you to do it this way, we're going to help you.
Whether these things are going to have to, they're going to have to happen. And Anne, what have you been working with the resorts? Like, what's the reaction been with the resorts around Mille Lacs when it comes to this Keep It Clean program?
Well, they're excited about it, and I would say that they're frustrated. If somebody rents a fish house or goes out on their property and sticks garbage down the hole, which isn't uncommon, before they can prepare that fish house for a new guest, they've got to move it. There's a whole host of things, and then there's garbage that they can't retrieve down at the bottom. In fact, we were going to wait to announce Mille Lacs was going to join the Keep It Clean campaign this fall, and business owners started getting excited, and they started leaking that news, which is last February. And the residents around the lake are eager for a solution because in the spring, what's left in, some of it, right, washes up on shore. Other garbage, it takes a long period of time. I was speaking with a DNR naturalist for Father Hennepin State Park and Cathio State Park just last week, and she'd gone out to conduct a loon survey on Lake Ogeechee, which Mille Lacs flows into the Rum River into this lake, and the amount of garbage was the worst she had seen in 10 years. She said they recovered over a dozen 5-gallon buckets. They were bringing in styrofoam sheeting that was likely used for insulation in fish houses, that there's a hike in the spring and summer that people love to do when they visit that park, Cathio State Park, because it's so beautiful and pristine, and the access to wildlife and the wildlife viewing is spectacular. She said she was so frustrated this year by the amount of trash, she didn't even feel good about recommending that hike. And so it's not just that it affects our lakes, it affects our rivers, it affects our wetlands, it affects our watershed areas in ways that people who maybe drop a beer bottle or a pop pop can or something, don't think about.
I never understood that. For these people that like to go out into wilderness and enjoy a day of hiking or hunting or fishing, that then just to throw their garbage like, it's either somebody else has a job to pick it up for me, or it's out here in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's ever going to see it again. And that's just, I just never understood that line of thinking. Joe, what's next? Obviously, we have a lot of lakes, and as this program expands with Red and Mille Lacs, is there plans to keep it growing across the state to some of these other bodies of water?
That's a great question. So right now, what we're trying to do is we are actually communicating with different agencies, different nonprofits, et cetera, to potentially take over the Keep It Clean program. We started initially up at Lake of the Woods. Now we have our two great partners in Upper and Lower Red and Mille Lacs, right? Well, we've had inquiries from other lake associations, other lakes, other states to join Keep It Clean. But I'm tourism, and Robyn and Brian do something, and Ann does something different, and Mike Hurst is soil and water. Really, this is a much bigger thing. And really, what we're looking to do right now is just get the message out. We're looking to make a difference on our 3 lakes initially. And then ultimately what we want to do is we want to be able to pass this Keep It Clean effort on to a proper organization or agency or whomever that can carry it even further. Things we're looking at right now are maintaining integrity of messaging and logos, and making sure that we're on the same page as a group so that we don't come across as unprofessional or mixed messages or anything like that. We're just trying to keep it going right now, and we got all we can do. I mean, this isn't my whole job, nor these folks' whole job. So we're trying to do it that way. And then in addition, Brett, one of the things we're looking at, and I'll just let the cat out of the bag, but one of the things we're looking at is, there's been discussion about a potential rule. What would happen, if I had garbage in the summertime, and if I took my garbage and put it in a bag even, and if I tied a rope onto my boat with that garbage bag and threw my garbage bag over the boat into the water and towed that around all day, wouldn't you look at me kind of funny? Mm-hmm. When people are ice fishing, they think nothing of setting their trash or their garbage or whatever on the ice. Now, everybody has good intentions of bringing it out with them, or most people do anyway. But between wind and snow and being really tired from 3 days of ice fishing and leaving the next morning and it's 25 below zero, how hard are you going to look for trash around your fish house? Yeah. I mean, for all those things, what would happen if there was a rule that you're not allowed to send any trash onto the ice? You either had to have it in your fish house, in a container, or in the back of your pickup truck. Right off the bat, we would eliminate potentially tons and tons of garbage from our lakes, from on ice. So we're looking at different things. I'm not saying that's going to be something that's going to happen, but those are the kind of discussions that we're looking at. And we really see this as an ice belt problem across the whole Midwest, sure. Not just Minnesota and not just our 3 lakes.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you did make a rule like that, it'd come down to a mandated type situation again. And you'd have some people with some pretty strong reactions to it, despite the fact that it would probably do a whole lot of good. It's always hard and then you'd have to have somebody there to enforce it, which is always tough too. But
what's hard right now is, as far as enforcement goes, Minnesota DNR enforcement, they've been such good partners. They're all for keeping this trash off the lake. But the problem is, the way the laws are written right now, the only way they can really do anything is if they literally catch you driving away with your fish house in the act and seeing if they find a pile of trash on the lake, there's really not much they can do about it.
Yeah, you don't know who did it. Yeah, well, all birds are drones, right? So we've got surveillance drones all over. Isn't that one of the government conspiracies? Gosh, yeah, it's a tough situation, and obviously we need voluntary efforts from anglers that are out there to truly make a difference. And if it comes down to it, there will be rules, especially if the EPA gets involved. You will have, that's what you're talking about, EPA or who?
Well, or it could be EPA, it could be DNR. Yeah, it could be local counties that set certain rules for their county, which would include the lakes in their county. That might be a way to go. But those are things we're researching. I would just say this: that number one, having this kind of discussion is important, because it gets people talking about it. it gets other important stakeholders on board discussing this. MinFish is an organization that we had a chance to have some communication with. And, MinFish is a very good, influential organization that talks about, creating quality fishing opportunities in the state of Minnesota. There's somebody that we're communicating with about this, and they've been behind it so far. So, but I think having these conversations, working with resorts, I can tell you on Lake of the Woods right now, more and more resorts are actually putting porta potties on the ice, which not only make it easy for people to use a restroom, but also we don't have plastic bags. Heck, some of the DNR biologists, Brett, have told us, we are more concerned about the plastic bags than we are about human waste going into the water, because at least that's organic.
Right.
Now, that's not good, but I mean, the plastic is even worse. And then, like Robyn was talking about, we have a couple of winter dump stations for sleeper fish houses or RV type, because nowadays, they have bathrooms where they have the chemicals in it, and they can actually have a heated holding tank. So you can use your bathroom even in the winter because it's heated with those chemicals. There haven't been many instances, but there's literally been instances where all those chemicals and everything inside of that tank have been dumped on the ice or onto the land, just leaving the lake. And that's just terrible. That is so harmful to the environment.
Well, I think it's funny because I know when when a bunch of us guys stay in one of those fish houses and we spend a night or two on the lake, there's usually a rule about number two inside the fish house. It's usually on a bucket in a bag somewhere outside because, just to make the rest of the trip a little bit more enjoyable. And then that usually goes in the back, it's wrapped up, tied up, and goes into the back of the pickup. So next question then, if we're going to ask people to take care of their garbage or to have a plan in place, does Keep It Clean have, say, a page on their website where you can click on and say, this is what you can do to help? This is what you can do to make your next trip a leave no trace type situation. Here's how you can here's how you can clean up after yourself on your next trip on the ice.
We do have points on our all three of our websites, and the one thing I would say for folks is, hey, the big deal. Everybody thinks like they know what to do, right? Even myself, I think I know what to do. But when I hit the ice, I want to think about, all right, hey, if I'm going for a few days on the ice, sleeping over, especially. All right, where am I going to bring my garbage? How am I going to keep track of it? How do I set it outside the house, or do I keep it inside? Or do I put it in the back of my pickup truck and secure it? I mean, just little things like that make all the difference in the world. And I would let my, Ann and Robyn, if you have anything to add about the communication on your lakes as well.
Yeah, we're working towards the same goals. We have information going out this fall with our pilot, and we have our Upper Red Lake Association website with a Keep It Clean page, which people can go to and see what we're doing. And we carry on building relationships with the public.
What is that website, Robyn?
Our website right now is the Upper Red Lake Area Association, and they have .com, and they have a Keep It Clean page on their website.
Okay, great. And I love the decoys in the background there. That's great.
Thanks.
And Ann, what about your website?
Our website is MLACF for Mille Lacs Area Community Foundation.org, and we do have a dedicated Keep It Clean tab. We outline the 5 steps that people can take in managing their garbage, and then we also have a short list of some of the environmental impacts of not doing that.
And you brought up something very controversial on the show. I just want to say in the background there, it looks like you have a muskie eating a walleye on the wall behind you.
The walleye was caught by my grandfather, and the muskie was by my brother and my brother-in-law working together.
Oh,
it was
cool.
big fish to haul in. Mm-hmm.
That's great. By your grandfather, a Mille Lacs walleye?
Yep.
That's awesome.
That was his trophy fish.
That's very cool.
Well, Brett, you talk about, throwing gas on a fire and getting everybody fired up, So you're talking about muskies eating walleyes. We're talking about new laws about not putting trash on the ice. What else can you bring up to boost your listenership?
Oh, I've got a list. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it today, but we'll save the rest of that for another time. Keep It Clean. I think it's a great idea. I'm glad to see other organizations, other lakes and regions and areas getting involved in it, and we need to keep expanding it. Keep up the good work. And Joe, where do we find more information about Keep It Clean?
Yeah, you know what? You can check out the Lake of the Woods Tourism website, of course, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts. Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.